Welcome, everybody. It's Hilda Gan, COVID-19 Tough Decision for Business Owners, and we are on episode 26. Today, we're going to talk about how human resources can build a resilient work culture. And I know there are a lot of HR professionals here today. So we developed this webinar series to help answer the needs of managers, business owners, and HR professionals to weather the storm of COVID-19. We're long past the storm now, and we seem to still be in rocky waters, but we are managing, and we've been doing bi-weekly seminars now for you. If you like us, tag us at PeopleBright or at hashtag COVID-19 TDBO. I want to give special acknowledgement to the East Gwillimbury Chamber of Commerce, who have sponsored us since June. So thank you very much. And I see that Lauren is on. Would you like to say a few words, Laura, before we get into the presentation itself?
Just unmuting here. Good morning, everybody. Hi, I'm Lauren from the East Gwillimbury Chamber. We've been very proud to work with Hilda Gan and People-centric Consulting on this series since June. So I'm really excited to continue working with Hilda through the remainder of the year, at least, because she's offering some amazing topics for business owners. And if you haven't had a chance to check out some of the past ones, she's going to give you a list, I think, at the end. So please take a look at all the webinars that Hilda has done from the past year, because it's a great wealth of knowledge for you in your business, especially during this difficult time of COVID-19. So thank you, Hilda, and thank you everybody for being with us today. And we hope that you enjoy this webinar. Take care.
Thanks, Lauren. Nicely put. A little bit about myself quickly. I am the founder and president of People-centric Consulting. We are a full-service HR consulting firm, which includes recruitment, retention, and policies and compliance. I'm also the creator of REVUP. Connect with REVUP is a principle on how you can build better work cultures. And I'm doing a leadership management training series focusing on people management. Very passionate about healthy workplaces, and actually with my husband co-founded a national engineering firm that was recognized as one of the best workplaces in Canada, top 10 twice. I'm excited to share with you, I recently launched a podcast called none other than Rev Up Your Potential. And each week we provide entrepreneurs next door sharing their stories and their journeys. And it's not just the entrepreneur next door, it's industry leaders, people in executive positions who can share their experiences as they've gone and grown in the business. Next slide. So today we're focusing on how human resources can build a resilient work culture, how to build it, and the role that HR plays. I think it's so easy to feel overwhelmed by trying to move a work culture. And what we want to do is help you think about the things that you need to do as HR decision makers. So we're going to talk about what the role of HR is in terms of the executive and employee functions or positions that you have to deal with. Number two, we want to help to share how people can navigate change, because it is a big change. Looking at the obligations and responsibilities that HR plays to create and maintain a safe and supportive work environment, and that's by building a resilient work culture. And finally, giving you some training ideas and methods to promote that change in management and in staff to create that resilient work culture. Next slide. So what do these organizations have in common? If you were on my session last week about bullying and harassment, you'll say, yeah, I know the answer to this already. Next slide. But what you don't think about is that, okay, in the session, we talked about harassment and bullying and toxic work cultures. What we could have done as an HR in that organization could have helped mitigate these situations so they didn't become as difficult as it was. So let's take a poll right now and identify how would you describe the work culture in your organization. Jenny's going to pull that up for you, and we want to get some results. So Jenny. Are you able to do the polls, Jenny?
Yeah, it's already up.
Oh, I don't see them.
Yeah, I think it's my turn now. I see them.
Ah, well, better you see them than I don't.
So it's great. People are slowly adding their votes in.
Okay.
Majority is actually neither positive or negative, which is good and bad.
Mm-hmm.
Two more people need to vote. If not, I can end it within like 15 more seconds.
Okay. So I do feel at a loss. I can't see the polls.
Fine, I can do the summary.
Okay.
Okay, great. So yeah, like generals, majority is neither positive or negative with 29%.
Mm-hmm.
Um, some positive, and then strained is actually tied with positive.
What's the percent?
Both 21%.
Okay. And
Great.
the new,
And then
the,
finally, the last two are tied as well, 14%. That's resilient and toxic. So it's very in the middle.
okay. So it's varied. It's really varied. And I think that those that you have positive work cultures, kudos to you. It's very difficult to do, not impossible, but it does take consistent work and hard work to make that happen. For those of you who feel it's like in that toxic range, it can change. And we're going to talk about that further as we go. So next slide. So for those of you who have experienced in the past or currently experience strained or toxic work culture, it really is costly and it has such a negative impact. I'd share this slide with you to help you, give you ammunition to help convince the senior executive team that it is important to change toxic work culture. It can tarnish people's images, companies' images and reputation. You know, that can affect people who decide to be clients of yours, and it can affect your sales. And in particular, it can affect hiring talent. In a toxic work culture, it is demoralizing. It is hard to come to work, so it's very stressful. And a lot of gossiping goes on behind those closed doors. So that in turn affects morale, and you'll have attendance issue problems and negative work behavior. The bottom line then is it does lower productivity, which then lowers your profit. It impacts on having difficulties attracting staff and retaining staff. You as HR people all know this. And I can think a key element is it creates a culture where there is lack of trust. That means people don't know what to do. They're on edge, and that really affects productivity. All of these things are interrelated to each other. And oftentimes in those cultures, they don't address the microaggression and the bullying. So it all exacerbates. It just becomes one continuous cycle that just seems not to stop. No one really wants to work in a toxic work culture today. And if they had the chance, they probably would leave. But again, no one can leave, which then impacts mental health. And it just becomes, harder and harder to feel you can turn it around. Feel free to comment in the chat box, because I think sharing with each other really does help understand that you're not alone, but let's try to make and do something about that. So what is a resilient work culture? And the definition, according to an article that we saw by Eve Davis Grinwall, she said a resilient culture helps companies survive change. And we are in major change right now. These employees don't see themselves as victims of circumstances outside their control, but they feel empowered as individuals, capable of riding whatever hits them. So resilience in a corporation is a setting that equalizes things, so everyone is made to feel that they are part of it, that they share in the success and the problems of a company, and that they have a chance to resolve the issues as they present. So it's a we culture. It's a we helping and being empowered. Next slide. So how do you create a resilient work culture that can respond and adapt to changes in this very volatile economy right now? So It starts with building resilience amidst these difficult times. And that, as the definition said, was empowering people. And to me, I think the key of that is really building a culture of trust. Can you imagine what a culture would be like if people trusted each other? They gave each other the benefit of the doubt, and they were adaptable to the changes that happen, and they feel included. If you're part of the decision making of a company, you feel more vested and you want to help. So having this kind of empowerment really builds employee engagement, turning that caring about people into doing something. If you care about me, I want to do something. It increases loyalty, it increases the productivity because I feel I am doing good, I feel that I'm valued. And then if you create this culture where you're sharing and you're asking for input, then you're stimulating my ability to create ideas and to be innovative. And that only helps a culture when people are asked for input, because when you have more than one idea, you get a better product. And as a result of that, you get a better return on investment. So those companies that are people focused will have a better return on investment. And there are many studies, and I think you as HR professionals need to identify what some of that ROI is and share that, because in the business world, they speak dollars and cents. So they don't necessarily see how focusing on people is going to help the bottom line. They think it's going to eat away at the profits. So you need to understand that and share that. You can help. This kind of resilient work culture will increase profit and sales because we attack all of those problems in the toxic work environment. And then we look at it as a future investment, and then we turn this crisis into an opportunity. Uh, some people ask me, well, how did you become a best workplaces in Canada? And I often ask that question, how do they become a best workplaces in Canada? And I realized afterwards, it is the gap. That's how best workplaces in Canada assessed it. It's the gap between the employees and the managers, where the employees and the managers think alike, have shared values, and move towards a common goal. It becomes a we culture versus an us versus them kind of culture. Next slide. So what is your role in as an HR decision maker? What is your role between senior management and the employees when we're trying to foster a work culture? So let's go to the next poll, Jenny. How do you feel about your role in HR? And check all that apply. So we'll give you a few minutes to do this. I'm just going to check some of the things on the chat. So one of the persons says maintaining staff engagement culture while we're working remotely. So I kind of asked that question. So again, feel free to use the chat. How's the poll going, Jenny?
Yeah, people are adding in.
I want to stop right now and open it up for some comments or questions about, toxic work cultures, what we said, and the business case. Do you guys have difficulty convincing your senior team that they should invest in people and that improving work culture will have a return on investment? Anyone want to kind of unmute themselves and share their thoughts? What are the results of the poll?
Actually pretty equal. So far, majority is on first and second one, empowered to help the company navigate. And then the second one is that the senior management values my opinion.
Okay, so those are the top two responses?
So far, yeah.
Okay.
So 2 more last ones. Okay. We have one in others. Feel free to post it on the chat and let us know.
So, because I can't even see the question or the percentage, are you saying that most people are feeling empowered to work with senior management to to help move the work culture?
Yeah, empowered to help the company navigate and lead like changes.
That's great. That is so great to know, because I think sometimes people don't feel that they have a voice. They might have a seat at the table, but they don't feel they have a voice. And other feel they don't have a seat at the table, but they really feel they want a voice. So that's good to hear and know. Any comments before we move forward with the
Yeah.
next slide?
And just to give everyone an overview, one person said, yeah, the company does not include the HR team in making key personnel decisions.
Yeah.
Another one said, my company does not understand and support my role to balance the needs of the company with the needs of the staff, right? And then two more said, staff at the company values the role of HR, so that's good. So we still see some people not having value as the HR department in their company. So hopefully things will change as we go.
And I think for those that feel that they have difficulty, I think my suggestion to you is really start with trying to build that trusting relationship, so that they understand who you are and your role. And then advocate in a confident but respectful manner that your role is almost that bridge, that voice of what the employees are trying to say and the voice of what senior management is trying to say to help the employees. Think of yourself that person that's balanced. And in order to do that, you have to present yourself in a very neutral and unbiased way, in a respectful tone, to be that role model of what a company should be, what an employee should be. You need to be there. And what I find is if you can build that relationship and then express to them, this is a valuable asset to have somebody who is the ear of the employees, so that you don't go down the road and do something that's going to tarnish the image or impact on the retention of employees. Think of your role as that bridge. And in order to do that, you have to have integrity. You have to keep the secrets of a senior management team or the employee to the extent that privacy is respected, if you understand what I mean. So people need to see that, and sometimes you have to convince senior management that that's what you do. There was a mess that popped up. I think it probably added to the thing.
So it was a comment by John. He said that his experience when he worked for someone else, he always felt that he was always under the gun. So the organization leaders did not want to address his issues, so he left. Kudos to the leader, first of all.
So I think it's tough to leave something, but that's a wise decision. Sometimes if you're not valued in an organization, that it's tough. It's tough to fight that. And so you need to go to a place where they value what you expect. And they're going to continue probably to be a toxic work culture. And maybe they value people as commodity. So you need, as an HR professional, to understand what is meaningful to you, what are your values, and find an organization that aligns with those values. It'll make your life easier, and you'll be able to do more good that you want to do. Okay, I'm glad that some people are feeling good and that some people are still struggling. So I hope this helps both parties to feel that they're doing the job, or that they have strategies that can help them do a different job. Or in the case of John, I'm saying to you, if it's that tough, it's probably better to find a position that really values you and you feel good, and you're not expending a lot of negative energy trying to make a change. So your role as HR professionals is really to bridge that gap. You are that bridge. So next slide. So what is that role in terms of senior management? And then we'll talk about employees. When we're trying to foster a resilient workplace, we want to really help them understand the business focus on that return on investment. A lot of times HR professionals don't necessarily think about, how do I win senior management over? And senior management is business focused, it's profit focused, it's board. I got to get approval from the board. So it's all about the dollars. So you need to help them by speaking that language. So show them statistics that will say, look, if we do this, if we spend time on people and money on people, that actually converts to 2.2 times more sales than a company that's not people-centric, that's not focused on positive work culture. And it can turn into 3.2 times more profits. There are studies of Fortune, 100 companies, and those performers that outshine the regulars are the ones that are people focused. So it is proven, spend money on your people and it will yield more profit. The second thing is your role of closing that perception gap. As I said, best workplaces are ones where the us versus them is not a us versus them, it's a we. And studies have shown that 36% of employees agree when leadership thinks they have a positive work culture. So they say, yeah, we got a great work culture here. And if you polled your staff, 36% say, we don't. We do have a positive work culture. Big, big gap, big difference. And then you need to think about ways to educate and train senior management and managers. And one of those key things is people management skills. Think about it. A lot of these people move up the ranks because, number one, they have the ability to manage the projects and make a profit. And then they have the skills to do that in terms of technical skills. But many of them have never had people management skills. So some of them have done it innately. There are a few that do improvement, but one of the things you could do in your organization is create training on people management skills. Empowering and motivating staff is another thing that they could be taught. Conflict management, de-escalation, and how to be a motivating leader, not just a leader, but a motivating, inspiring leader. Next slide. Your role for employees when fostering is really for them to build trust in you. I think so many times over my career, I've come to the realization that people don't trust HR. I don't know why, because I always felt that I was creating trust. So I didn't see it, but when I talk to some of my colleagues, people don't trust. People think that HR is either a cheerleader for creating events or they fire people. And I've had people tell me, oh, well, the first time I met you, Hilda, I thought there was a problem. And I was scared until the meeting. And then after I got to know you better, I look forward to it when you called me into the office. So what we need to do as HR people is to build that trust with people. Be that neutral confidant so that you become the trusted advisor. You are the pulse. You can be the pulse of the employees so that you can minimize or reduce the reactions of employee morale before it gets too big. So being that catalyst and acting to diffuse that tension is really another key role. And then educating and training employees to understand communications, because sometimes misunderstandings are based on communication. Many times, I should say. And then team building and understanding change and adapting to change, conflict management and how to de-escalate, because oftentimes they have situations where they don't know how to handle effectively difficult conversations. So these are the things that you can do as an HR for your employees. We need to help build resilience, and that is a change. And so how do you navigate that change? And how do you as HR help existing work cultures to adapt to this constant change that we're having? So this is time for poll number 3. How do you think you can help navigate change in your organization? And check all that apply. So any thoughts or comments in the chat box? Very quiet in the chat box today. You're probably trying to digest everything I'm telling you.
Yeah. Well, so far majority is on addressing employee concerns with senior management.
Mm-hmm.
Some people have said, yeah, connect with REVUP training or similar people management skills training. One so far has said to act as a neutral confidant.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. Good news is not a lot of HR people are saying that they should be the ones to discipline toxic actions and activities.
Good, good. Okay, so I think the key is this confidant role. And I used to think, oh God, everybody keeps coming to my office. And there were certain people that regularly came. And I thought, oh my God, they're like complainers. But when I stepped back and I thought about it, this person may be the person that comes and lodges concerns. But if that person is coming, how many other people are thinking that? Because there are a lot of people that think things, but they won't say anything and they'll just put up with it. So that person that comes to you is almost, he is that early adopter of concerns. And you should listen to that because it probably is already festering and existing. And I found that was really helpful in minimizing the problems so that they didn't become big and ugly and be handled in a much more, like in your face kind of way, that we minimize that to maintain morale. So I found that we had an office manager that really had the confidences of people, and she would come to my husband and I and share those. And we felt that we mitigated a lot of things that could have erupted, because as senior management, you don't often get those kinds of concerns brought to your attention. Let's go to the next slide.
Just sharing this poll results to everyone.
Mm-hmm.
That before, majority was on address employee concerns with senior management, and 2 more said connect with REVUP training or similar people management skills training.
Yeah, cool. I think in these COVID times, more and more organizations are saying we need help. Our managers in normal times would have, been okay as people managers, but during this COVID time, they are feeling uncomfortably out of their element. They don't feel that they're as readily equipped to deal with people management as they would have been pre-COVID times. So I find a lot of organizations are looking now to providing some kind of management skills training from a people perspective. So one of the things that you can do is you can support, and you are in a very pivotal role right now. You can educate, guide, and show people and be that bridge for employees and senior management team. You can be that change agent by being a catalyst and championing change and creating that resilient work culture. You are that bridge. You and your team of HR professionals are bridging that gap. And what you need to do is help ensure that effective communication between the senior management and the employees. So when my husband and I created and built our business, we really prided ourselves on creating a place that people felt they were challenged in the work that they do, and they felt as part of a team. And that created employee engagement, all of those things that will help a company be resilient and positive. We created that. And when I started People Bright Consulting, I was on a mission to help businesses be a better version. And I strongly believe that it is through people. And what I created was a concept called REVUP. And REVUP is a really interesting concept, because not only does it have an energetic, like rev up your company, rev up your potential, it's an acronym for 5 principles. And if people follow these 5 principles, imagine how that can affect the company, how that can build a resilient work culture. So REVUP stands for respect, equality, valued, uniqueness, and potential. So if you treated everybody with respect in the organization, and you looked at everybody as equals, yourself as an equal to the employees that you work with and senior management, if we all thought of each other as equals and had a role to play that was just as important as anybody else's role, we value people and recognize them for what they're worth, then we look at the uniqueness of individuals and tap into that potential. Imagine what you could do to build a work culture if everybody felt the same way and had these principles. Imagine what you could do to bridge that gap. And senior management needs to buy into that kind of concept, but you yourself have a pivotal role. Treat yourself with the respect, equality, and value, and then use that to build others, be that role model. And Jenny and I were talking earlier and said, well, you know, some people don't feel that they could help managers in organizations. I challenge that. I say to you that in your organization, you can get to know anybody and everybody in the company. And when they trust you, you can give input into saying what the uniqueness of people are and how they can tap into that potential. You may not know the answer, but you might say, you know, I noticed that, you know, Sally's a real go-getter, and I hear the quality of her work is great. How do we keep her motivated? What are her strengths, and how can we kind of tap into that potential? So I'm just giving you ideas on how you can build a stronger, more resilient work culture. Next slide. So what are your obligations as an HR professional in creating this safe, supportive, healthy work culture? The next slide. So I think there are the things that we do as standards. We ensure compliance, and don't do it as a watchdog kind of approach, because I think that's sometimes what people think of us doing, but help understand why we need to do that in compliance. I think in particular, the bullying harassment compliance is a really important one that we need to do, because that will help foster a stronger, resilient work culture. And then when there are concerns, be that advocate for it. Listen and help escalate the concerns if necessary, and help the employees to be more empowered to do something themselves about it. Support them, guide them, and help them in ways that you can. And then communication. Communication is so important at every level, between people, and it helps to build a trusting relationship by keeping communications open and effective. So you as an HR professional really are in a pivotal role to make change. You can be that catalyst. You can introduce ideas. You can be that change agent, that champion, and that bridge. So here's some ideas for training and other strategies that you might do. Depression will be the #2 cause of illnesses in 2020. COVID-19 has been such a stressful thing we're all going through. It affects workplace, it affects family life. You know, it's an event that has affected the world all at the same time, and business as well as personal. So people are going to be under a lot of strain, and people need to invest in helping with health and wellness, and in particular, even identifying how is it for those remote workers affected, creating team events and supporting that. The other thing is, once you decide to adopt or modify your work culture, communicate that effectively to people what you're planning to do and why you're doing it. So even if it's a micro change, share that, saying we're implementing this today, even if it's remote health and wellness. Think about it. Oftentimes people implement something and they don't think of how to effectively communicate that. So that's why I've stressed, make a communication plan when you need to share something. Then I talked about skills training, and particularly now, people management skills at all levels, the staff, the managers, the senior managers. And I want to share with you, connect with REVUP, because we have developed training that really focuses on improving communication, providing people leaders with the effective communication skills, and how to build a REVUP culture. So foster a culture of trust and adaptability. This is the key in creating a resilient work culture. So let me tell you a little bit about Rev Up Your People Management Skills. What we want to do is really help managers build their confidence to communicate effectively and to build that work culture. We are creating we did it live and now we're creating it virtually. So what we're going to do is have 4-week virtual management and leadership training. These are 90-minute sessions once a week with 2 targeted one-on-one coaching. And what we do is we help people understand who they are uniquely through a tool called Fascination Advantage, and it gives a 16-page report. And then we help them with effective communication skills, motivational skills, and how to lead using this very respectful approach called REVUP and the 5 principles that can really, really rev up a work culture. And if you want to know more, contact us and we'll be happy to share that. We actually have a training course coming up in October. Next slide. So you as an HR professional can build a resilient people-centric work culture. Think of it as not an us versus them, but a we culture. And if you can create a we culture and create a respectful workplace that's trusting and adaptable, you can make a difference. Next slide. So we do have our upcoming sessions. We're doing them bi-weekly now on the Wednesday still. The next one will be on microaggression, how to de-escalate the conflicts at work. And the following one will be talking about healthy workplaces and how you should be budgeting money to help maintain and build that healthy workplace. I want to open it up for questions. Next slide. So as Lauren said, here are a list of the many topics we've done. This is episode 26, and you can go back to them anytime. We are on YouTube, so you can subscribe to that. I do want to open it up now for questions. I know there's one more comment on the chat box. If people want to unmute themselves and have a dialogue.
Yeah, I think I should stop the slides right now, actually.
Yeah, I think so.
One thing that John mentioned is how his business is situated right now. It's actually interesting. He was wondering how he will bridge the gap in his non-traditional business, right? So his business is conducted where all employees are independent sales contractors. Yet not only do they deal with customers, they also recruit other business associates that are responsible for their own results. So he was wondering, how would he bridge the gap with the REVUP 5 principles in that sort of situation?
That's a great question, because I think we're doing training for business owners themselves who say, I don't have any employees, what do I do? Well, you have clients, you have business associates. And if you create an environment where you develop that trusting relationship with that associate, you treat them as an equal, you look into their potential, their uniqueness, and tap into that, and vice versa. And even teach people about how to do that for clients. Once you understand the uniqueness of clients, you really know how to tap into building the sales and the client relationship. It's the same with staff. It's just understanding how we're different, and we look at different as being an advantage rather than a weakness. How do we do that? When I tried to talk to engineers to convince them that they were not submitting their timesheets on time, rather than nag and yell, I did statistics. And after 8 weeks, I shared with them that their compliance was 44% and under, because that's why they're in my office. And how would you like it if the client, you said to them, here's my product, it's 44% accurate. And because they're engineers and they're statistics driven and analytical, I solved that problem. And I said, I don't expect to see you in this office again. I will do periodic audits, but I don't expect to see you. And they had their tails between their legs, but that's why I understood their uniqueness, where they're coming from. And I created a discussion respectfully that helped them comply. So hopefully that helps you answer that question. You can apply REVUP to everything and any relationship that you have. Any other comments? Somebody want to come forward? I hope I've given you a lot of food for thought. We as HR professionals are really in a kind of a unique role. We have the ability to change our organizations. And sometimes it's a roadblock. You know, sometimes we don't get the support from senior management, but given the analogy, step back and say, who am I talking to and how do I connect with them? So for some people, you have to connect as a business person and give them business statistics. Other people, you can connect from the heart and their passion for people, and that will win them over.
Sorry, I was just trying to unmute myself there. No, I just want to, again, just say thank you to Hilda and Jenny for all the work you put into these seminars and sessions for everybody. So thank you very much. Another very informative and insightful session today. So we really appreciate it. And I do see some of my chamber members here on this call today. So it does, you know, it is making a difference for our chamber and obviously within the region, these sessions you guys are holding. So thank you very much.